Sound check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sound check.
Sound check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm gonna be good. Why you gonna be next to you?
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this month's meeting. We're not expecting over 25 people. However, we are live stream and a video will be available within an hour or two. So everybody behave themselves. Just a couple of announcements. But before we do that, I'm going to have Monica lead us in the pledge. If you'd all stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Monica. Just a couple of announcements. We won't have a Red Move meeting in July. Too many things going on, too close to the 4th. But we'll be back on the first Wednesday, which would be August 5th. I'll put that in your calendar. I'll just make a couple of quick announcements. Veronica Cotes is running for 27, if you'd welcome her. Paul Anderson is Sparks City Council, Ward 3. Kate Vineyard is the head of Washoe Freedom Coalition. Kate? No Tracy yet. Troy Regas is just checking in. He's running for County Commissioner number 3. Troy? Drew Rebar is running for number 40. Assembly 40. And with that in mind, I don't think I miss anybody.
We can't hear you. You're mumbling. Speak up.
I mean, anyway, ladies of liberty, raise your hand. With that in mind, I'm turning it over to Bill. We'll start the forum.
Well, thank you, Ray, for the introduction. So today we have Monica J. and we have Judge, no, I got to see your name, is
Derek Dreiling.
Judge Dreiling. And so full disclosure, our daughters know each other, so it's kind of cool. And they've done real well. They're going into law, so, and other things. So anyway, what I'm going to do today is you both have a 1 minute introduction, and then Monica, I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and Judge, I'm going to ask you 5 questions. Then we'll open it up to the audience for the town hall. Without further ado, Monica, do you want to start with a 1 minute intro? Tell them about yourself.
My name is Monica J. Stabbert. I am running once again for Senate District 16. I ran 4 years ago, and I have not seen the changes that I wanted to see, so I am running again. I'm a 36-year career broadcaster, and then my husband and I started a couple of different businesses. So I'm a business owner, small business owner, and my mother and I have an antique store in California, which we are shutting down because it's California. And she will be moving over here to live with my husband and I. So it's just been a wonderful, wonderful ride. So I look forward to meeting everybody and answering any questions.
Judge?
Good morning. It still is morning. My name is Derek Dreiling. I'm running for District Court Judge, Department 1 here in the 2nd Judicial District. I grew up in northern Nevada here, raised my family here, and then qualification-wise, I was a law clerk for Judge Kosach back in '96, became a deputy district attorney, served 23 years as a deputy district attorney, the last 10, nothing but murder and political cases. Then supervised a team of felony prosecutors for 4 years. In 2018, I was elected Justice of the Peace, served in that capacity, went senior about 3 years ago, which has allowed me to travel around northern Nevada and fill in. And then district courts also hired me to help in their family division. So I'm busy doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go, Monica, into 5 questions. I was going to ask you what motivates you to run for District 16, but I'm going to post on that because I think you will bring that up as we talk.
Bill, can I interrupt?
Go ahead. Yep.
The signs. Yellow means you got half a minute, 30 seconds left. Red means you got about 5.
And then it'll start going like this at 5 seconds.
And then after that,
It's tough. It's a concept. So anyway, Monica, your first questions. Nevada family continue to struggle with inflation and rising costs. What specific legislation would you support to make Nevada more affordable?
Being a small business owner, we have to bring down the taxes and the fees on small businesses. I was talking with a friend of mine who owns a salon, just as an example, and she has to pay a business license that encompasses her entire business. Well, now on top of that, everybody that works with her also has to have a business license, besides the degrees and everything that they have from the different beauty schools. It's license and fee and license and fee all on top of each other. And that's just the salon industry. There are many industries around Nevada that really need the help. And I would like to see us go from a gross receipts tax to a net receipt, because there are thousands of small businesses that are going out of business because they have such a small margin that they can't survive on what they're making. And we need small business.
Monica, your next question, you're going to get out 5. School choice remains a major issue in Nevada. What reforms would you champion and how would you measure success?
Well, first off, I would get rid of the bullying czar to create more money for the districts, but we have to have school choice. Parents have to be able to decide what is best for their child. We have to take it out of the hands of the district, whether it be going to a private school. We need more resources for homeschooling. I have a friend that just moved over from California, and it was the hardest thing to find resources so she could continue to do homeschooling because she did not trust the public school system. But we also have to have those choices for charter schools. We need to have more trade schools. Kids these days, they're smart. They know that AI is taking the jobs. And so if we can build up these choices for them, they're going to have a better head start, and we're going to keep more of those people here, knowing that they can get a great job in mining or in the healthcare industry. So we have to do what we can, and that measure of success is an example of just kids staying here in Nevada.
So the next question really deals with the bigger cities in Nevada. What is the proper balance between economic growth, and I'll put housing in there, and preserving the quality of life for Northern Nevada residents?
Making sure everything is fair for people. Making sure that, just as an example, when we saw COVID hit and all of the businesses shut down, well, as businesses started to open, we saw it was a pick and choose. Who was the big guys? You couldn't go to a mom and pop store, but you could go to one of the big box stores. You couldn't go to, a small car dealership, but you could go to one of the big ones. We can't have prosperity that way. Everybody has to be treated equal, and it doesn't matter if you've got 10,000 employees or 5 employees. We are going to make a better Nevada by making sure that everybody is taken care of.
And then the last question, we're going to go to the judge. Nevada faces growing concerns about water, growth, and infrastructure. This is a follow-on. What should be the top priority for the state of Nevada over the next decade?
Regulation of data centers. Data centers are needed. It's going for the future, but the state has to step in and not just let developers come in and buy property, persuade the city council to let them do it. They need to be regulated. They need to have their own water sources. They need to have their own electric sources. And to do that, just as, a beginning, just as a regulation, we're not saying no more data centers or anything like that. We're saying they need to be regulated in the beginning so they are taking nothing from the quality of life that people are living, and they should not be in residential areas. That needs to be one of the regulations that the city councils and the county commissions and their planning commissions can't change. We have to protect the people and their rights.
Thank you. Judge Dellinger, go ahead. Yeah. So the next 5 questions is for the judge. And I'll tell you, the judge questions are tough because of knowledge and base and understanding. Law is complex. It probably shouldn't be too complex, but it is complex. So many voters hear candidates promise to be fair and impartial. What does this mean in practice when deciding a difficult case?
Fair and impartial means truly having the ability to set aside your personal preconceived notions and listening to the parties. I've opened most of my hearings in cases telling people, this is my understanding of why we're here, the facts that are in dispute, and what this area of law is like, so that they can correct me. I don't know everything. They're the experts in their particular cases. So being fair and impartial is allowing that process to take place. The case is not about you being the judge. It's about the parties and the information. So allowing them to present their case and to do it without bias. You're not allowed to be a prosecutor, a defense attorney, a plaintiff's attorney, a defense attorney. You let the information come in, you make sure that it's legal information that it comes in, and then you must make your decision. Or in a jury trial, the jury makes their decision.
So Gary, I'd like you to give the judge an extra 30 seconds on this one because I'm going to combine 2 questions. I'm going to ask, what is your day like? How do you get assigned cases? And tell us a little bit about the 2nd Judicial District and what's it like to be a judge?
The one caveat is in the 2nd Judicial District, I'm seeking that spot. So I haven't served in that spot. I've served in Justice Court, and then in the District Court, I've served as a commissioner. So an appointed judge assisting in their family division. So I have experience across both. So I'll answer this as to the position I'm going to. District Court handles the important cases, criminal and civil, the big ones. So felony cases, big drugs, robbery, rape, murder. And then on the civil side, they handle everything from probate cases to large civil disputes, malpractice, medical issues, negligence, slip and falls, over 25,000. So the daily calendar, if you will, depends on what is truly that day. So you'll have a day where you're taking pleas and doing routine matters in criminal cases for the morning. You'll have time where you're working on the motions that have been filed in the afternoon, civil or criminal. You'll have trials that you're doing that'll eat up the week and perhaps push some of those routine matters around. So it varies truly depending on the schedule, and that's one of the difficulties for the court right now. There's a backlog from COVID, and the district attorney's office has been getting cases through the justice court much faster, coming to trial recently.
So the next question is, and my heart goes out to you. I can't imagine what you see every day from time to time. It's got to be stressful, and some of those cases and what people must do to each other. But how do you balance public safety with constitutional rights of the defendants, especially here in Nevada?
I don't want this answer to sound glib at all. People have asked me what it's like being a judge, and it boils down to being patient, being kind. You still have to be firm, but above all, frankly, where the rubber meets the road is biting your tongue and doing what you don't want to do. I don't get to make up the law. I follow it, and I take comfort in that. If I have to evict someone from their home, it's the last thing any of us want to do, but there's laws that have to be followed. So it's a challenge, absolutely, but just taking comfort in that, in the rules, following the rules, not making it up as you go.
So I have two more questions, and I really want to learn more about your profession here. What is judicial temperance? I probably said judicial temperance. Did I say that right? Judicial.
Temperament.
Temperament. Judicial temperament. Okay.
So temperament is largely what I was getting at in that last answer in part. The temperament is being approachable as far as allowing people to give you information, not embarrassing a party, no matter what you think about the allegations, how they're presenting it, who they are relative to the case. That temperament is being patient. It's being kind, no matter what. It's got a flip side of enforcing that rule and law of order, so that can happen, not allowing things to get out of control. One of my favorite tricks, frankly, and I've only had to use it twice in 7 years, is a couple attorneys get out of control. They ask about banging the gavel. I don't bang the gavel. You've already lost if you've done that. I stand up, say it looks like a good time for a break, and it freaks them out. The bailiff yells, "All rise," and I walk off and let things cool down.
I feel like asking, like, how close are the law shows on TV to what you actually do? And I'm going to follow that up. If you want to ask that, I'm going to ask one last question. So courthouse efficiency and reducing backlog, and how would you approach the challenge? Because we hear the backlogs in courts right now.
The backlog issue is a difficult one because you literally have thousands of cases on your docket. So your ability to babysit them is limited. So finding mechanisms to tickle them every so often, to simply have a call with both attorneys, say in a civil case, you're not wasting their time and money coming in. Where are we? What's going on? What's the hang up? It's been 4 months. There's other potential options. Criminal cases bump civil cases. They take priority when you have a constitutional invocation of a speedy trial. So there's a potential for splitting out our courts, criminal and civil. That would negate that type of problem for the civil attorneys and allow judges to use their expertise in those areas and be more efficient.
Very good. So that's the end of the formal questions. We'd like to open it up to town hall. If there's,
I have one
oh,
question.
Gary for sure, and Ray, and then that open place, if you want a question, sort of line up over here. And then turn off your mics when you're done.
Just a real quick one. Do you guys have any training before you go on the bench?
Absolutely. But it often comes after the fact. I've been an attorney prosecuting cases for 23 years, took the bench, and my first class wasn't for 4 months. So there is training. It's mandatory. If we don't attend those trainings, we lose our spots according to the statutes. So you must do a minimum of 2 weeks general training. There's another week that is to ethics and control of the courtroom, things like that. So there's some minimums, but you get thrown to the wolves. There's no doubt about it.
Is that at UNR? You know,
It's yes, at the National Judicial College.
Yes, right here. We're fortunate to have that, I take it.
We are, and the statute doesn't demand that it be there unless it's been changed since I've looked at it, but they're the ones that hold it.
Hi, I'm Catfish Kickstart program. I work with inmates when they get out. My name is Teddy Craig. I also did 22 and a half years in prison myself. My question to you is, sitting up on that judge stand, and you see without a shadow of a doubt that this person is being railroaded, and don't you have the decision to put your own recommendations other than follow what the DA gives and his attorney sits there and just listens?
So you have different levels of discretion depending where you are in the system, or in the process of the trial, I should say. At an extreme end of things, if it's gone to a jury trial and you believe the case hasn't been proven beyond a reasonable doubt and that no reasonable juror could find it, you can instruct the jury that the appropriate verdict is not guilty. That is extremely rare. I've seen it. One particular judge give it. It happened to be Judge Kosach, who I clerked for. I wasn't clerking for him at the time. So you have some ability in those situations. You do have to make sure that the individual's rights are being protected. So if you spot something, you've got not just the ability, but the obligation to speak up and raise it. One of the hard parts sitting up there is you're not allowed to be a defense attorney and a judge. So you have to trust a lot. I don't know why an attorney is not doing something in a particular case. There might be a great strategy reason that I'm not aware of, because as a judge, we get a very tiny snapshot of the case, and then only the information that is given to us once we're on the bench. So it's a give and take, and it's got to be obvious or going down that road of outrageous and there's something wrong.
Okay, not to cut you off, but just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
If you see, by being a judge, a human being, or a man of the law, that the law is being broken, and the public defender, whoever it is not really holding up to the job which he's assigned for, would you step in and call them to the room or say something? Because that happens a lot here recently.
I believe you can as a judicial officer. You would want to bring both parties up, or at least talk to both before speaking with one independently about an issue like that. But you definitely should. For example, after a person, if they're convicted, they can appeal. And if they lose their appeal, they can then file a secondary type of appeal. It's called a writ of a petition for habeas corpus. The writ is what issues if you grant it. That fight is whether or not their attorney acted as a normal attorney would in the situation. So you have to police that, and it's your obligation, to answer your question, to make sure you do have that minimum level.
I have a question for Monica. You have an incumbent you're running against. It's been there a couple of terms. What could you bring to the table that would enhance you versus your current competitor?
Sorry, I should know better than that, being in radio. Knowing the people. You know, I love one of my greatest joys in radio was actually talking to our listeners, listening to how they felt about their quality of life. I was also the public affairs director. So I will make sure that my votes are the will of the people and not to get somebody else's endorsement, not to get, a backdoor deal, not to, play the game of, well, if you vote on my bill, I'll vote on your bill. That game has cost us a lot in getting Democrat bills voted through. And I just don't do that.
And following up with that question, how would you approach, what are goals do you want to accomplish being elected?
I
And how
wanna-
would you accomplish it?
I want to make sure that you cannot solve any problem. You can't solve the homeless issue. You can't solve the crime issue. You can't solve really the economy issue if you don't have mental health. I am a mental health candidate. I've interviewed with them. And it is important that we get funding back into mental health and get it out of other areas, going through the budget, making sure that, our veterans have what they need, making sure that people with recidivism, Washoe County has some great programs with the Empowerment Center and with their apartment complex, Crossroads downtown. We need to make sure that these types of organizations are well-funded and we get people the actual help that they need, because that way we'll get people off the streets. We'll get crime down. It's just the process of getting those mental health facilities in place.
One last question. How do you feel you very heavily, unfortunately, Democratic legislation, how do you feel you'll get legislation passed?
By making sure that everything that I put through is right for Nevadans. Doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. What is right is right.
Thank you. Bill?
Drew's next.
Oh, yeah, Drew, and then Julie is here, and each will have a couple of minutes.
Get behind Drew.
Statement for this is what this.
Oh, yeah, Bill, they want closing statement?
Yeah, we got it. Let's go ahead and do some questions, then we'll do the closing statements.
Hi, Drew Rebar. This isn't so much of a question, but this is more of a endorsement. I've been a defendant in front of Judge Dreiling 3 times, something like that. And what I've found is if you watch some of my videos, you'll find he's involved with some of the Deputy Bueno videos. But what I found with him as a man and judge, he upheld the rule of law. He explained things very, very clearly for me. He upheld the Constitution. And in his rulings, I found that he was very good at cutting the baby in half. So that's I think you did a good job. Thank you very much. That's what I got to say for you, Judge.
I don't know about that last one.
Yeah.
In other words, you did what was right. You did what was right. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So, just slide back.
Nicholas St. John. I wanted to ask the judge, a question I have is about taking someone who's before you that's been accused of a egregious crime, capital crime, infamous crime, whatever, and the U.S. Constitution, which I think you would agree is the highest law in the land. The Fifth Amendment says no one should be tried unless first indicted by a grand jury. If someone brought you someone who had not been indicted by a grand jury for, say, murder or kidnapping, what would you do something in order to put that back so that the Fifth Amendment actually applied and someone would not be brought to you unless they'd been first indicted by a grand jury?
So is your question whether grand jury is the only method that someone can stand trial for a crime?
No, it's not. Is that the only? The Fifth Amendment says you shall not be tried unless first indicted by a grand jury. There's no other option. There's nothing in there that says unless the state has a secondary option, because that's what the Fifth Amendment says. And yet informations are being used. And I understand they want to do it for expedition, but that's the Fifth Amendment says no one should be tried unless first indicted by a grand jury. If someone was brought to you for a capital offense, would you look into trying to put that back into the grand jury's hands so that it would be done according to what the Constitution says should be done?
I would have to look at the briefs by both parties and do that research and come to a conclusion. I'm precluded as a judge and a candidate from saying how I would rule in a situation, and that's a specific question asking that, how I would exactly rule in that. Our current state of the law, as you've clearly stated and alluded to, is that there are different methods to get a case into district court that are under state law, and that tension between that and the U.S. Constitution, I would have to look at on what's brought before me. Currently, Nevada does have both a preliminary hearing process and a grand jury process, just like the federal government does. The federal government uses the grand jury more. And arguably, there's a few lesser protections in some ways with the grand jury, depending on the state. For example, there's no defense attorney present. The prosecutor has the burden to make sure everything is done fairly. And then in the federal system and some of the state systems, an officer with 5 years experience can come in and give hearsay. This is what this person told me. So the actual complainant doesn't even need to be there. So there's a lot of pros and cons, but I can't directly answer the question as it's framed without having an actual controversy before me. But I would absolutely look at it and see what our law and what our Constitution requires.
So state law cannot trump the U.S. Constitution. Would that be fair to say?
The U.S. Constitution is an umbrella, if you will, and state law is allowed to give more rights to an individual. It can't give less rights. So you may have an argument depending on interpretation there. I don't know without looking into that fully and having that controversy before me with both sides giving me information.
Could we have a discussion offline perhaps about this?
Yeah, and I believe we did at a meeting a couple of months ago, and you were wanting to talk to Mr. Hicks or others about that. But even in those conversations, I can't prejudge the situation. I'm willing to be educated, that's for sure.
Thank you. Thank you. You have, hold on.
Do we have
There's one
anybody
more
else?
question for Monica. Go ahead. Okay, we're gonna get,
If anybody else, you can come up if they have questions.
who is ahead?
No, you stay there.
Ms. J, our current person over, I'm in your district, the district that you're fighting for, and the homeless has reigned and has tore up, and it got bad. It is getting worse. By you taking over this district, what would be your idea or some type of idea to break down in your district? We'll deal with the rest of the state later, but to clean up your district.
Well, fortunately, District 16 with Incline Village, Carson City, South Reno, Lockwood, and Story County with Virginia City, there's really not a big homeless problem. They are congregating in certain areas. Yes, we have a few that you see the campers and you see the, alongside the road, you see some tents and things like that. But it doesn't matter what area it is, what district it is. We have to get people the mental health services that they need. We have to talk to the when I was on the air, I actually went to the Riverwalk and I spoke with the people that were homeless. And the reasons that they were homeless that they were giving me were so unimaginable that why couldn't somebody help with this? One woman I spoke to, she was homeless because she only qualified for a 1-bedroom apartment, but she also took care of her indigent, had to be taken care of 24/7 son who was in a wheelchair, and they wouldn't give her a place to live or help her in that situation. These are things that have to be looked at on an individual basis and have resources in place that we can get people like that off of the street. And we have to enforce our laws. Sparks doesn't seem to have as much of an issue as Reno does. And so we have to rely on the Washoe County and the city of Reno to take care of those problems.
I know that.
All right, Sherry Powell, which I forgot to introduce, is Ladies of Liberty.
Is it on?
Sherry, your question.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got one for both of you. I'll start with the judge first. So I know your job very well. I worked for Judicial Excellence with none other than Sandra Day O'Connor in 2010. So I'm going to go to the political side. Currently, we had one judge removed, Bridget Robb, I'm sure everybody's heard, and rightfully so, in my opinion. But we also had a judge, Connie Steinheimer, removed. And it was not through the regular judicial removal process. So she was a duly elected judge, and another duly elected judge removed her. Isn't that removing the right of the people, the vote of the people? Because they didn't take her to judicial discipline or anything else. Just saying. Your opinion.
So the heart of your question is at the Judge Steinheimer issue. Judge Steinheimer's matter was, whatever it was, it's been crickets around the courthouse. I don't know what the exact allegations are that led the chief judge to enter the order that he did. The statutes that govern the district court judges, I believe they're in NRS Chapter 3, give the chief judge the authority to control the calendar and other assignments. It's fairly vague language like that. So I'm confident that the chief judge used that to control the calendar, took the calendar away from Judge Steinheimer. She's not been removed from office. It has been a while now, at least 3+ months. I can only infer from that there's likely a matter pending before the Judicial Ethics Commission. They're the ones with the authority or the ability to rule on that. I don't know if that is happening or not, and I'm only inferring that. So I can confidently say she's not been removed. She's still there by the people, and then the chief judge has taken the calendar or the cases away. And you might say, well, there's no different. You just sound like a lawyer. She's not actually hearing the cases that she was elected to hear, and that's a valid criticism of what I'm saying, but I don't know.
I guess I'll go this way. This will make it a lot easier. You're running right now for your position, and you get 80% of the support of the people. And then somebody rotates in as Chief Justice of the courts, and they don't like you or whatever. They remove you. That is not procedure as far as I know, and no, it hasn't been turned over to the judicial discipline because I've asked. Not only that, I've spoken to the administrator of the court to find out when they were going to have the public hearings for her replacement, because our taxpayer dollars are paying for that position. So once again, if it was you, would you think it was fair that they just say, oh, wow, we don't like what Dr. or Judge, is it Dreiling?
Dreiling.
Yes. We don't like what he did last week, so we're just going to move him, and we don't care what the people think, period, because that's what they did.
We're past our time. We're currently past our time, Ray, so we need to wrap it up, take a 5-minute break.
I have a card, and if you want to do an interview, I
Closing
interview all
statements.
the judges.
Here's what we're gonna do.
We
Bill.
need a closing statement at each.
Yeah, here's what we're gonna do. Right now, they've done a great job answering questions, and I think we should applaud them. That's number one. Number two, before we do the debate, there's 2 candidates here that I said they could have a 1 to 2 minute shout out. And the first one, Julie Butler, and then Drew.
Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't you guys do the 1 minute each, just how we get a hold of you, websites, things of that nature. And then we'll bring them up here. They can make the statements up here. Go ahead. Monica, do you want to start off with how we get a hold of you, contact information?
So I was told my website address is too long, so we have a link now. You could just go to monicaj.com and it'll take you to the actual site. You can see news stories on there. You can see all kinds of information. But what I really prefer people do is just call me, email me. I love talking to people directly, and I've gotten quite a few minds changed by that. I've had some wonderful supporters that put flyers and letters out for me, and those are all on there. It's about making a difference and being a true conservative Republican, going after things like red flag laws. As you had mentioned, you know, our Constitution as the umbrella, and the state is not to diminish our constitutional rights. And so I believe red flag laws are one of those that are absolutely being diminished. If I can't get any Democrats, I will still continue to fight for it until we have control of both the Assembly and the House, or both the Assembly and the Senate. So monicaj.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Judge Drellinger, how do we get a hold of you? Contact information, donations?
I have cards. I'll pass out to anyone who would like when this is over. DerekDreiling.com, DerekDreiling. Emails judge@DerekDreiling.com, and a phone number is listed on that website on my cards that I can give out as well.
Thank you. So if we, Ray, you can take over for this little intro.
Well, right now, we're just going to have a brief shout out from two candidates for Assembly 40, and they can describe where that is. First one is Julie Butler. Go ahead, Julie. Oh. Or you can go up here.
No,
Yeah.
I prefer, I'm good here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good here.
Right. They wanted to brief on.
I couldn't hear
2
you.
minutes.
2 minutes.
I was assuming it was going to be a break. I'm going to have to leave some cards on the back. I have another engagement coming up, but after this, I thought I've got a little bit of time talking with wishes. I don't want to be finished the other candidates. But I don't want to be misleading. When I said I'd be available, I didn't know it was going to roll this fast. Thank you.
Julie, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Julie Butler, and I'm a candidate for Assembly District 40. So that's all of Carson City, all of Story County, a little bit of Southeast Washoe County. I was a career state employee, spent 30 years working for the state of Nevada. I was honored to be appointed by Governor Joe Lombardo, and I am honored to have his endorsement for the Assembly District 40 race. I am the only candidate that has actually consolidated government services, have actually cut services, saving taxpayers money, actually been recognized by the Nevada Taxpayers Association for the work that I did. Government needs to work for the people and not the other way around. And I feel passionately about that and can bring that to the table as an assemblywoman. One of the other pillars of my campaign has been public safety. I am endorsed by every major law enforcement agency in the state, as well as the Professional Firefighters Association of Nevada. When crisis hits, our law enforcement community and our first responders are there for us, and I think it's critical to be there for them. Nevada cannot afford to be a sanctuary state. And then finally, I'd just like to say, I know we're all getting spammed with text messages. Our mailboxes are chock full of flyers. I find it annoying. I'm sure you do too, but I will say I'm the only candidate that has actually put her phone number on these pieces of mail. I want you to actually call me, and I want to hear your voice. I want to be your advocate in the assembly. At the end of the day, you can learn more about me at juliefornevada.com. Many issues and endorsements listed, but at the end of the day, the only endorsement that really matters is yours, and I hope to earn your vote on June 9th. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julie. Next, Drew Rebar is also running in for the assembly. Thank you, Julie. Go ahead, Drew.
Hi, everybody. Drew Rebar. I think I've spoken in front of just about everybody here. Julie Butler created me, by the way. Otherwise, I'd be off peacefully running my business, but I'm not here. I am running for Nevada Assembly. I'm a constitutional, common sense kind of person, and that's all that I want to bring to government. We do need to beware rhinos. There are multiple competitors in my race for Assembly District 40 that are publicly on the record stating that, yes, they voted yes on question 6. Be careful of the people that endorse these people, because the yes on question 6 has been endorsed by the Nevada Right to Life, which is incredible to me. The NRA and all of these Nevada Firearms Coalition, I called the NRA the other day, I'm rated A, I guess. But I don't think that really makes a difference, because my other competitors have said there are 4 red flag laws, so we need to be very careful of that. There are 4 raising your property taxes. We need to be very careful of that. I don't want property taxes I don't want any taxes to go up. Let's lower taxes. They've said that they're against constitutional carry because law enforcement needs a jump on law-abiding citizens. You know, we gotta take the law-abiding citizens and protect the government employees. That's one of my competitors' views. They've also said that they're for raising government fees. I find all of these positions to be against the GOP platform. I am for the GOP platform. I will make laws that are constitutional. I will make laws that give you property tax. Let's get rid of property taxes. I found the money to do that, and I've written the BDRs. So we can lower your property taxes. We can train government employees to have constitutional rights training so that they know our constitutional rights. And wouldn't it be really cool if government employees would police themselves? So I've got a bill to help government employees that are good. And what that's designed to do is to fix the whistleblower laws, so that way that the whistleblowers do have some protections and the bad government employees can be rooted out. Vote for me, Drew Rebar, for Nevada Assembly District 40, since I was ignoring Gary's red flag. Thank you very much.
Thank you both to Drew and Julie. Now, we really don't have time for a break. Yeah, we need the candidates to do the debate for commission. Eat cookies, there's been plenty of dessert. Bill, you ready? Teddy? For everybody to have a seat, we're ready to start the debate. Everybody grab a seat. Thank you. Bill, you have it again.
You can, if you go to redmove.org, you can watch it live and you can watch the replay. It's up there right now. And it's doing well. So this will be the debate cycle. Gary will explain some of the details. Gary, do you want to explain the rules?
How long to introduce themselves?
Just a minute because we're tight on time.
Okay, you have 60 seconds to introduce yourself and your campaign. After that, another 60 seconds to answer questions Bill or Ray have. Are we going to open it up?
Yeah,
Okay.
it'll be
The
open.
audience will be able to ask questions. Another 60 seconds to answer those. And then when it comes to the end, yellow means you got half a minute left. Red, 10 seconds. If you go past that, you get the gap.
So introducing Tammy Holstead, Catherine Urati, and then Rob Pierce. Tammy, if you would start, and we're going to alternate the questions too, and I'll call out who gets the questions.
Hi, I'm Tammy Holt-Still, running for Washoe County Commissioner District 5. I will be bringing honesty and experience to the seat if I were to be elected. Honesty being the fact that everybody that I have worked with in the public arena, as far as working with federal, state, and local leaders. Also, my experience has been 9 years of activism for the flooding and the appropriate development within Washoe County as a whole, not only the North Valleys. It also comes with 22 years of NRS experience, and you can find me at tammyholdstill.com.
Catherine?
Okay. My name is Catherine Yarte, also running for Washoe County Commission District 5, given that this is debate. I am running on the principles of people first, that every community matters, every voice counts. I've made it my point to visit every neighborhood in this district, all the way to Gerlach, the tribe, and I believe that every voice needs to be represented equally. That goes for rural communities and appropriate land use and development. Being responsible, growth in itself is not a bad thing, but it does need to be done responsibly and with foresight. I also bring experience as a small business owner. I have firsthand experience with the code issues currently plaguing the Washoe County code that are outdated. And so I will take that and continue using the skills I've developed to build on what I've already started as a private entity rather than an elected. Having the elected position will allow me to have further reach. Thank you.
Rob?
Hi, everybody. My name is Rob Pierce. I'm running for Washoe County Commissioner District 5 also. I've been here since 1988, and I was raised in a family that says if you don't like something, get off the fence and get in the fight. And so that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years. I've been volunteering in different organizations, search and rescue for the sheriff's office. I'm a chaplain. I'm doing everything I can right now to help the people of Washoe County. My campaign is about helping you. I am on the Planning Commission, Regional Planning Commission, Board of Adjustments, 5 different boards for the county, 2 for the airport, because I believe in you and I believe in Washoe County. My goal is to make it better. Fiscal responsibility, public safety, looking out for taxpayers, looking out for each and every one of you, making sure that you have a voice when we're at the table, when we're voting on things. I'm here for you. I'm not here for me, and I'm not a career politician.
So what I'm going to do next is we're going to rotate, and Rob, I'm going to start with you, then we'll go with Tammy and Catherine. So Rob, my first question is, drug addiction, homelessness, mental health issues continue to impact local communities, our community. What role should county government play in addressing these challenges?
Well, the county we have to do it carefully. We have to, we have to address the mental health and the homeless issue with compassion and sensibility to the issues that they're going through. Not every one of them is there because they want to be there. As a county, I believe in giving people a hand up, but I don't believe in giving people a hand out. There's a certain limit to what we should be giving people in terms of handouts. And we do have to take care of the indigent. That is written in the code. But as far as making homeless camps permanent, I don't think that that's the county's responsibility. I want to get to the root problem to start with. If it's mental health, then let's look at mental health. If it's not being able to get a job, not have a driver's license, let's look at those. Let's get them before they're homeless, and let's try to help them so they don't become homeless.
Tammy, that same question about homeless issues?
Well, first of all, it's a personal issue for me. My son is at that CARES campus and has been at that CARES campus for 2 years without any accountability. One of the things that definitely needs to be changed is the idea of going to a either faith-based or something along those lines to make people accountable. And it sounds silly to say make, but if they can't follow the rules, then they need an alternative, what the alternative is going to be. It's an either or situation. Everybody needs help at some point, and they should be able to get that help. But to be relying on our campus full-time is not correct.
And then Catherine.
So homelessness is a complex issue in this region. Drug addiction is a small part of it. Mental health is a larger part of it. And we do currently have the CARES campus, which is an even larger part of the issue that we have. It acts like a beacon for this region, advertising this as a sanctuary for homelessness. I've toured the CARES campus, and I've been directly involved with a RPD incident that involved the CARES campus. That's all I can say, during a ride-along. Because of that experience, I've been actively working with RPD, the Sheriff's Office, CARES campus management, their security team, and Washoe County, the Washoe County Assistant County Manager who governs that organization to rectify the situation that I experienced. So I'm coming at this from a place of knowledge and firsthand experience and actively already working to change the issues within that. Those meetings are already taking place and improving, but having a barrier-free model through the CARES campus is proving to be very ineffective. The stats aren't there, the data is not there, and so we need to look at other opportunities to affect homelessness.
So the next three are about development. Many residents are concerned about traffic congestion. What specific transportation projects or policies would you prioritize during your first year? And I will start with you, Tammy, and we'll go to Catherine.
That was a long question.
No, I'll say it again. So what traffic policies are the most important ones within our county?
We need to actually reverse the system. Right now, RTC is reactionary, not actionary. And they're building development prior to putting in the roads, which is causing us to then turn around and be in construction when the roads have to be widened because there's not enough room. So the NRSs need to be changed so that we can actually have teeth in our Truckee Meadows Regional Master Plan and then change the system. But currently, unless we slow down in our growth, we're still going to be in a mess for a long time.
Catherine?
Recognizing that the county commission has no control over NRSs or RTC, the place I would start is the same thing that I brought up at the Planning Commission meeting on May 5th, is that we need to address our own codes and where there is flexibility to make changes to allow the county to have a greater say in the development process. We do have a reactionary system right now, and that is unfortunately the way our structure has been built. There's an opportunity that's currently being explored, because I did bring it up to staff, to add to our development code a finding or requirement for developers to slow their development to match the RTC timelines if they happen to be extended. RTC can deprioritize whatever construction they want. We as a county don't have control over that. But what we can do is control how we interface with RTC and hold the developers to those timelines if they don't coincide. That language is being explored, but it's not going to be anytime soon. But that would be something I continue pushing for.
And then Rob, and make sure you turn your mics off when you're done.
Can you please repeat the question? I want to make sure that I answer it correctly.
So we're dealing with traffic. What are some of the traffic issues you see in the county that you can deal with? And what are your priorities within those traffic areas?
So what I'm seeing being on the Planning Commission, Regional Planning Commission, is promises are being made about extending roads, making them wider, or putting in infrastructure in certain places while the project is in front of us. And then after it's being approved, they're pulling that back and they're changing the timelines. And I have proof on that. It is a requirement for the developers to accommodate with roads. There is such a thing as a RIF tax, where the developers have to pay a certain fee to upgrade the roads. And so I think that we need to do a smart growth approach, and we need to make sure that we hold the accountable parties accountable and make sure that they follow through with what they're saying they're doing when we're approving or denying the specific projects. So we need to have a smart growth with controlled infrastructure to go with that smart growth.
So Rob, I was going to ask you a follow-up question. What is smart growth?
Smart growth is putting like housing, like affordable housing, not out in the middle of nowhere where there's no infrastructure. It's in places where there would be infrastructure close. Let's try to save the taxpayers money by putting housing projects in places where there's infrastructure close, not miles away, not where the taxpayers have to pay that extra money to put that infrastructure in, because the developers only pay a small amount.
Very good. And that's perfect for my next question. And we'll start with Catherine. Should developers pay a larger share of the infrastructure cost associated with new growth, or should these costs continue to be shared broadly by the taxpayers, and why?
I would like to see more accountability to the developers. I've been meeting with a consultant for the developers to understand better what their perspective is, because when I say every voice matters and every community counts, I mean it. Developers are property owners and they have a say in how they do things. Does that mean I believe in willy-nilly giving them every tax abatement possible? Of course not. I do think there should be more buy-in for developers. I do think that rather than passing on those tax burdens to the people buying the homes, it should be paid by the people building the homes. And there does need to be a change to that structure, because it ends up being a long-term burden to the person buying the home. So I absolutely agree that there is a better structure to hold accountability for the developers.
Tammy, we're going to go this way this time. Back to Rob.
Same question?
So same question, yeah. Do you believe government regulation contributes to, excuse me, that was the next question. Do you believe that developers should pay their fair share, or should be broad-based on the taxpayers?
Well, I do know in my advocacy since 2017 that there was a reduction in developer costs for the sewer plants and some other areas. And the city of Reno finally bumped it up, and I think Washoe County finally did too. But it needs to be, if a developer wants to develop and he wants to do it in an area that there's no infrastructure, then he should be responsible for all that infrastructure. But he also has to look at how much impact there is to the regional sewer plants or the regional electrical system, so that that's not on the backs of the taxpayers.
Rob, same question.
I don't think infrastructure should be paid for by the taxpayers, but obviously it is, right? I mean, that's just the way that it's set up.
So I spent 9 years in the industry. I was the vice president of building industry of Central California before the war. And they do an EIR, environmental impact report. They take in areas and they plan it, and they determine what impacts all those areas should have towards the infrastructure ahead of time. I don't think we do that in Nevada. And that's what should be done in my book. I just want to do that little bit of editorializing, but I do believe in growth and positive growth and planned growth and to keep the cost down. So my next question, and Catherine, we'll start with you. Do you believe that government regulations contribute to housing costs? If so, which regulations would you review and reform?
That's a good question. Yes, because our tax structure is based on property tax. So obviously those regulations are going to affect housing costs. I'm not going to lie and say I have a good answer for that. I'm just not. I don't want to lie to you and say that I have a good answer for that, and I don't want to make something up on the fly. So that would be irresponsible.
Rob, what do you think? So the question is, do you believe government regulations contribute to housing cost? If so, which regulations would you reform, would you review or reform?
So we just had a new one come through, AB 480, I think it was, that says that we are mandated to allow affordable homes pretty much anywhere that they want to go. And this new bill that just got approved, I don't think that they asked the right questions of the right people. And so from what I've seen from my experience on a planning commission, it's already starting to cause some issues where we're having to backtrack on that. That would be the first thing that I would look at. I think it's AB 480, if I remember correctly.
And then Tammy, same question.
To expound on what Rob said, in that law that just came up from the governor's office, or down from the governor's office, one of the things that they have taken out of that is the hearing process. Any large subdivision that is going to be for low income does not have to go through the planning cycle. They just, as soon as they get the grant, they can just build. And I don't believe that's correct.
Very good. So an example of a crazy fee might be solar power, things of that nature, requirements. A Swanson Hawk offset for every house you build, you have to pay into some environmental issue, $500. You find those around. So there are environmental fees that aren't even close to around your city or county you might have to pay for. Higher mandates that are driven even from the state. So those are the things to be cognizant of that can reduce the cost. So we're getting the last couple of questions. And my next one is about water. Water availability remains one of Northern Nevada's most important long-term challenges. What policies would you support to ensure sustainable water supplies for future generations? And actually, looking out ahead, what do you see? I'm going to give them a little extra time. This is the last question. What do you see this county in 20 years from now? What's the populations? What will it look like? What will be the entertainment business? What will be the number of people here? And where will they be living? So it's 2 minutes. This is the last thing. It's sort of your grand finale. So again, water availability, you need to approach that and then just talk about where do you think this county is going in 20 years? Okay, so who did we start with first? We'll start with Rob and go this way.
Okay. As far as what I see in 20 years in Washoe County, we're going to have over 100,000 people. They're already calling out for 40,000 homes over the next 10 years. Water, you talk with company A and they say, we've got plenty of water. You talk with company B and they say, we don't have enough water. So it depends on who you talk to about the water. I would really like to find out. I do have some good friends that are in the business and they say that there's plenty of water. They have put American Flat in, or they're putting it in, I'm sorry, out in the North Valleys to circulate the water from Swan Lake to try to take care of that, re-inject it back into our wells with being class A plus, I think, water. That is supposed to help. There's a lot of mitigation efforts out there right now to try to make sure that we have enough water. It's always going to be an issue. It's always something we're going to have to look at. We do live in a desert, right? But I think we need to plan ahead. We need to look at what's coming down the road and we need to start doing the smart growth, smart planning, put the roads and stuff in to accommodate for this type of growth. And we need to look at everything that's going to be needed for these people that are coming in. And we should start planning for that right now instead of kicking the can down the road and waiting to do this at the end. We need to start looking at it now.
Catherine?
So So I'll start with the population. I was trying to think of where to start. That was a really long question with a lot of options. Water
What
first.
positions on water
Yep.
issues and what's lying in front of us in 20 years from
Right.
now?
So looking at growth, we have a current population of about 500,000 people in Washoe County and growing every day. 20 years down the road, I mean, we'll easily be over 1 million at the rate we're going. And where are they going to go? I would love to see more of a focus on infill for that purpose first, rather than sprawl and try to catch up. I think sprawl is working against us right now in a lot of ways. On the water side, I would love, first and foremost, to see more purposeful engagement with the tribal communities that have just as much right to that water. They are left out of every conversation. I've met with the council and spoken before them at Pyramid Lake twice now, and I think it is incredibly disrespectful that as a sovereign nation, they're not included on conversations surrounding Truckee River water rights and the lake itself. So that would be my first and foremost when it comes to water. Availability, I'm not going to lie, Tammy's the expert on water. I'm not going to lie about that. She absolutely is, and if I win the seat, I'm still going to be asking her about water because she's the one that's put time into that. And I do think it's an important topic. I think it is always going to be a strain in this region because of our topography, because of our usage, and because the current influx of data centers and the lack of regulation that we're facing currently. It's growing faster than we can prepare for it, and we don't know enough about it. I have a background in research, so that's kind of my jam when it comes to things, is looking it up and understanding it more completely, and I won't give an answer that I don't already know the full story on. So I've went to the data center meeting in Reno, and the moratorium, I think, was a smart idea to get ahead of it. I've spoken with the county manager, with Kate Thomas, about it yesterday, actually. Washoe County does have it in code, in the development code, but very briefly because there's nothing currently on the horizon. So I do think it's something that needs further exploration, and it needs to be codified before it starts taking off in Washoe County outside of the city of Reno, or we're going to be chasing our tails on another topic.
That was very good. 1 million people, we're about a little over 500,000 now in county, so you think we're going to double. Tammy, you get to finish with my 5 questions, and then we'll open it up to Ray and the audience.
Well, first of all, as far as water goes, in 2008, Washoe County voted on WC3, which was to conserve our water and only build to what we had for sustainability. In 2011, that law got messed up, crunched up, and then that's when TUMWA came into being. And there's different sayings, like Rob said, that some say we don't have enough water, some say we have too much water. I know that Fish Springs is the newest water resource that we have currently that comes into the North Valleys at about 10 million gallons a day. That water is not an infinite resource, just like the Truckee River is already tapped out. So there's not going to be enough water for the amount of development we have going currently. And what was next on that?
No, where we're going to be in 20 years from now.
Oh, 20
by the
years
way,
from
let's
now?
get, you say 1 million. So what's the population going to be?
If we keep going the way we're going without saying, whoa, wait a minute, and look at our water resources and really make a good, firm decision that we can't do this, we're actually going to outgrow our land use too. And then we hit that, land does not get conserved until we hit that 700,000 population. And that's one of the things I have been working on with legislators, to take that out so that we start conserving some of our open space. So we're going to be in lots of trouble if we get up to that 100.
That's really good. You mentioned open space, and I'll just make one final comment. When you do your planning, when you go out there and plan ahead of time, require that the county or city, before they annex the area for development, make sure that they buy the land for the parks first. Because one of the things the builders would do is they would negotiate with the councils and the county. They would go in and they would annex areas, and then we'd have to pull full pricing to get that land back. So you buy your parks, your lands, your right of way ahead of time when the land has very little value. Developable land goes from can be $10,000 an acre when it's annexed and brought in. It could be $200,000 an acre, the fair price for eminent domain. So a lot of things to do, and we wish you well. And for that, Ray, do you want to take over? Next questions?
I had a question for the people who live in Lemon Valley area. what happened with Swan Lake, each one of you, and how do you address to correct it? From what I understand, it's a mess. Start.
Okay, I've lived this for a while. In 2017, Silver Lake was overflowing some of the city of Reno's economic warehouses and stuff. So they decided they were going to take and pump Silver Lake to Swan Lake. There is a natural flow to it, but they pushed it even more. And that's what made Swan Lake come out of its barriers. But the city of Reno and Washoe County both have each have a sewer plant that is putting effluent into that playa and contaminating that playa. And that is what I have been working on, is the fact that it's not mining, it's not safe. We were told that it was safe for I don't know how many years, that the water in Swan Lake was safe. I did a test with my husband. It cost us $500 to do, and there's everything in there but mercury. It has nothing to do with mining. It has 100% to do with the sewer plants, and they're discharging to Swan Lake, the playa. Currently, that playa is getting close to the elementary school again and was on the elementary school property.
I think obviously Tammy's the expert on Swan Lake, so I'm not going to pretend that I know more about it than her. That's her entire, that's her platform. Why would I pretend that I know more about that? My experience with that is that it was a great example of how EMS services need to be managed better, because it was not managed well, and it was a learning curve for the county and the city as a whole. And I think we have an opportunity to learn from that experience and do better in managing future emergencies. My mom lives in Lemon Valley. Her house was a few blocks from that whole situation. So we did live through that. I'm very familiar with what happened. And I said, obviously, this is Tammy's kind of center of her platform, so I'm not going to pretend I know more about it. But I do think it is absolutely reflective of a need for update and change to the emergency management response, and to ensure that we don't have a crisis created out of a disaster that way again.
So we had a big rainstorm, we had a flood, and it shows that some people have made mistakes in the past. Yes, we had an issue in 2017. I fly, and if you fly over Swan Lake, you can see where, had they just filled this little bit here with dirt, this little bit over here with dirt, and had looked ahead and seen it, we could have contained that water. There was a big lawsuit. Tammy was involved in it. I'm not going to get into all that stuff. Once again, the 2017 flood. But I think that we have learned a lesson. I think there's a lot of different things that we can do going forward. American Flat Project is an effort to try to take care of that. Whether we agree with it or not, we're stuck with it, and that's that right now. It's my understanding that is the main thing that they're going for to try to fix this issue. They're putting in a new road out there, but they're not addressing the flooding issue. So this is something that is still in progress.
Thank you, all three of you. Now it's open to others. Who next?
I will.
Go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. It's Veronica Cortez, the lunch lady. And I'm here because I live in District 5. I am also the lunch lady at Lemon Valley, so I sit right behind that lake. And we teach the kids about the water cycle and how it goes up and down and around. So unless it's completely dropping back on the lake, it's raining on the kids, everything that's been evaporated up into the clouds. So I live this. I'm not here to form any type of political side. I'm here as a mother, as an employee, as a business owner. I have my nonprofit in District 5. I also sit on the Citizens Advisory Board, the only District 5 member on a District 3 panel for Sun Valley appointed by Mariluz Garcia. So when I come to this microphone and I speak, it's because I have been living this These candidates know me very well, and I've gotten to know them very well the past year or so. So, the first thing that I wanted to address, and I can't really ask any questions of these two ladies right now because they haven't been in the position. I can only speak to what has happened to me as a resident and to people who could be possibly held accountable for it. So my first question is to Rob. On the bill, the AB 480, what seat did you hold on that board when it got approved?
I believe I was a planning commissioner.
Thank you. And a follow-up question to that. In November 4th, 2025, the Washoe Planning Commission meeting, you had requested an agenda item clarifying the desired plan of growth in the Sun Valley area. It's been 6 months. Do we have a plan which puts public safety and infrastructure before the developers and their findings?
So I asked to have it agendized. In fact, I have the minutes right here because I'm sure.
What date is that?
Yeah, this is the same one that you're referring to.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so I did ask to have that agendized, and to this date, I haven't got an answer on it. So you'd have to talk with Trevor Lloyd or with staff. I'm just on the advisory panel.
Okay, thank you. As a concerned citizen, I would hope that follow through comes out if you get the seat. So thank you for your time. God bless you, ladies.
Who's next?
Hello, I'm excuse me, I'm Oscar Williams. Hello, Mr. Pierce, I spoke to the other day. It's nice to meet you. I represent Nevada Voters Alliance, NevadaVotersAlliance.com. I have kind of a tough question, and it comes from seeing the board in action, and particularly some of the interaction I've seen between Mike Clark and Claire Andriola when it comes to asking questions of staffers, whether it be planning or the registrar of voters, whoever it is. Each of you have come out and said that you want to work for the people, listen to the people. And the second part of that is holding the government accountable. That's what the people want. How do we do that when you are deterred from asking certain questions of the staff to hold them accountable? I've seen Claire Andriola shut down the questions. I've seen her protect the staff, and it's very much an obstacle toward achieving the kind of accountability that a lot of you, I think, we all would like to see happen. There's a disconnect, a dysfunction going on the board, partly because it's been a 3-2 with the rhino at the helm, right? Don't we all know that, everybody? We can't get anything done, any reforms of the county, particularly in terms of elections, as long as it's going to be 3-2 with the rhino at the helm. You guys have a great chance. Hopefully, Mr. Clark will hold his position. Hopefully, Troy will win his seat and oust Garcia. And then we'll have a 3-2 to counteract the rhino. You could vote her out of the chair, and you would have the Republicans would truly have control of the county commission. I'm so hopeful that happens. So I don't know that I have a real question or a question that you can really answer. It's somewhat informative because when it comes to asking, let's say, Andrew McDonald, you know, why did you choose this? You didn't come to us for approval. He's spending money and doing things with the manager, and then the board is just supposed to lump it. That's been happening. And so I guess the question would be, how would you flex your rights as a county commissioner? And I do mean you have impeccable rights. I've done research on your rights, and you have absolute right to vote your conscience, to halt certification of an election, to ask the questions and hold the staff accountable. But there's this friction on the board because of the chair. Having said that, how might you achieve that level of accountability? You talked about a lack of process in some regards, some things that happened with a road and a berm and this and that, and there was a fault in the processing. So being able to bring those things to light, to ask the right questions, and to reprimand people where you need to, that's been missing in the process of representing our will. That was it. That's it. You know what I mean? It's kind of a whole atmosphere that you're going into. It's partly informational. I don't know. I mean, understanding what I said, do you have a response? Is there something that's wrong?
How do you plan on dealing with staff and holding them accountable? So one of the tricks they'll do is they'll put a stack of paper like this for you to read before your meetings and events instead of getting down to the real analysis.
I've been successful with staff. I've been working for 3 years on getting the equine code issue updated as a private citizen and a business owner, and I worked with the one commissioner who was willing to do so. So I'm not, and I realized that came out as it was some sort of secret, but the reality is it's been on public record for the last 3 years. I take credit for the work I do, not anybody else's. So when I talk about it, I talk about what I did as a small business owner, which I got hit with a code violation and I fought it and I worked with staff daily almost for the last 2.5 years directly with the support of these sitting commissioners, because without a seat at that table, staff can't do anything without direction. So I utilized the sitting commissioners, and yes, Clara Andriola is the one who did the majority of the push on the equine code. She has never been silent about that. I've spent more time speaking with Mike Clark and Gene Herman off the record about it, but that doesn't matter. The reality is all of them participated in that to ensure that that vote would move forward. I worked with staff directly for 3 years to get the language written and to make sure that it could move forward because it affected my business and my industry. We cannot alienate the equine industry when it's a $177 billion a year industry in this country. And we are supposed to be the rodeo state. So let's make this a place where small business owners who have horses can actually do it. That's what I fought for as a private citizen and accomplished over the course of 3 years. If I can do it as a private citizen in 3 years, imagine how much faster I can do it in that seat.
Well, in my 9 years, I have worked with both city and county staff on getting codes straightened up as far as the detention ponds were not working accurately. So we were able to get city staff to hire someone to make sure that those detention ponds were working correctly to prevent flooding in the future. I have also worked with the county manager on different subjects that have come up, and also the city manager recently when it comes to the fire issues in Panther Valley and how we get citizens out of an emergency when there's only one way in and one way out. When RTC doesn't want to do anything and neither do the developers. So, and the fire marshal saying it's not my job. So working with county managers, having one-on-one conversations, and then emails are always great. I document everything with an email. I ask my questions, and if I don't get my responses, then I bring it up that I didn't get my response on these emails, and why haven't I gotten that response?
Being on the boards and commissions that I'm on, I have to work with the other commissioners. It doesn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat. It's my responsibility to work with them. I have spent years building relationships and building trust with these people. And if you guys give me a chance and let me be your next county commissioner, I will continue to build those bridges and to work with people. It is not a one person do everything type thing. It is a team, and we all need to work as a team to get the projects done. So you would have my commitment that I will continue to look out for we the people. People are number one. I follow NRS 278, and I will work with anybody and speak with anybody that's willing to follow the law, because that's what I represent. I represent the law, and I try to be your guys' voice.
I'm going to ask a question, follow-up question on that. So have any of you had experience with public employees and public safety unions during your campaign? Have they talked to you, and what have they said?
I'm endorsed by Public Safety Alliance of Nevada. And so, yeah, worked with them quite a bit.
So they work for you, though, when you're a commissioner, the Public Safety Alliance? That's fire and
Correct.
fire
Well, that's
and
all
sheriffs.
police. That's law enforcement across
Law
the state.
enforcement across the state. There's a lot of different levels. From
Right. Yeah. So it
management,
represents
so-
over 100 organizations.
Yeah, you got to be real careful because you're determining their wages, their benefits, and you want public safety. It's a tough balance. Anybody else have anything to follow up with a relationship with public employee unions or public safety unions? And follow up too is, what are the 3 top special interests that you have to deal with as commissioners?
Well, I was a state of Nevada employee. I was in SEIU. I helped create SEIU along with some other state employees, number one. So being in the public sector is something that I've always done and have stepped in when I retired. I turned around and stepped back in 2017. As far as working with others and balancing act, it's always a balancing act, but it also comes down to you do it for the right reasons, not because your campaign, they funded it. I believe that campaign funding from PACs and all that need to stop because there's too much accountability to those people. And it needs to be, our government needs to be for the people and by the people. And that's what I have been about from day one.
Yeah, I've worked with unions for years. When I was working for AT&T, I was in the union. So I'm very familiar with how the unions work.
That's a private union, not a public employee union. There's a difference between private and public.
Public, this one was, what was it? It was W9, something like that. No, this was the Telecommunications Workers of America. This was not a private union. This was a big, huge union.
Go ahead, next person.
Okay, I'm Sherry Powell.
Oh, I thought I was next.
Did you sit down?
I did.
thought I was next. I watched it. You weren't there before, so it went boom, 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 and then me, and then you sat
So
down.
how many more questions do we have, Ray? We've got to finish it up in 5 minutes.
Mine will be really quick. So I used to live in Washoe. I do not, but I am affected by some of the politicians in Washoe. So when they talked about voter, I was the one who swayed Miss Andriola to vote no. By the time I got home, which was 40 minutes later, I think it was Alexis Hill came on the TV and said, oh, now that cool heads have prevailed, we're going to have a vote next week on the voting machines, the elections, which we are the laughing stock of the United States, not just the city, not the county, the United States. So my question is, if you are presented with evidence of faults in the election, are you as willing as Gene Herman to not certify the vote and go, hey, something's wrong, maybe we should look into this?
Yes. To elaborate on that.
I say yes, and I also filed a civil complaint along with Oscar and 4 others.
I think the only answer is if there's evidence out there, of course, obviously, right? I mean.
You didn't answer, wait a minute.
Wow.
I was the first one to answer. I said yes.
You're quiet like Gene.
Thank you. Do I have my time? William T. Stewart for the record. So as a past member of public safety for over 25 years here in Washoe County, obviously the regionalization of fire and EMS services has been on the front page numerous times. Senate Bill 319 passed in 2025, mandating a regional fire study board to research the viability of consolidating Reno Fire, Sparks Fire, Truckee Meadows Fire Protection District, generally comprising the urban and adjacent areas of Washoe County, excluding North Lake Tahoe and Gerlach. So my question is, how would you regionalize fire services in Washoe County? And then a follow-up question to that is on the prevention side of things, because Chapter 50, there are ordinances on the book so far as fuels, mitigation, and abatements. Can we put something in the code that actually have teeth, that actually enforces? Because right now the building department says they're supposed to do it. The fire department says, no, it's a building department, it's back and forth. So that's my second part of the question is, can we have something on the books that will actually hold people responsible for fire hazards with overgrown lots, junipers next to their property, and actually have a mechanism to enforce that? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll take that. Hey, Bill, thanks for that question. That would be a dream, right? To have something on the books for that. I would definitely be open to looking at that, for sure. As a county commissioner, I think that would be right down the line of something that I'd love to look at. Whether we can do that or not, it's going to take a study, it's going to take cooperation. But yeah, definitely. And as far as regionalization concerned, are we going to still be able to get the same QoS that we get now? Is it going to be better as a mutual aid agreement? Is it going to be better to combine certain things? Right now, Reno really doesn't want to play very well with Washoe County, from what I've been noticing on different things. I'm not saying it's going to happen on the fire department code, but these are all things that I'd like to look at. You know, like you said, they are doing a study on it, obviously, and I am very interested in hearing what the study is coming out with, and moving forward on that. But if it's a benefit to the taxpayers and a benefit to the public, then yeah, you would have my vote. But if it's a burden and we're going the other way, then no, because I'm here for you guys. I'm here for the public. I'm here for we the people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if we could get something codified that would hold people responsible for not being proactive with fire safety and causing more damage, that would be fantastic. And I think making sure if we do codify something to that effect, that it does not burden lower income households or seniors. I think that's something that we have to be really careful with if we do find a way to go that direction, but I think it's a very important conversation to begin having. As far as regionalization, my conversations with first responders, both police and fire, they have all circled around a very supportive attitude towards regionalizing dispatch at minimum. That is one of the biggest issues, is that dispatch is so disjointed. If there is I agree with Rob. I think it's worth seeing how the study for fire currently comes out, and what that finds, so that we're working with facts. Again, like, I don't like to speculate without all the information. So my understanding from those I've spoken with in those industries and in those fields is that regionalizing or centralizing dispatch is absolutely something people are interested in, that are dealing with it day to day, and that would hopefully expedite response times and ensure better safety. I live in Rancho Haven. I've had a neighbor wait 53 minutes for a police to show up when they had a person trying to break into their house. Is that the sheriff's department's fault that they don't have enough staff? Of course not. That's always going to be an issue. I lost a house in a fire. My dad lost his house in a fire in 2013. Same thing in Rancho Haven. There's no response. So finding ways to improve response times is absolutely a priority.
I just had this conversation with the city Reno manager just yesterday because of the issues with Panther Valley. And she thought it was a good idea for I can't even say it now.
Regionalization.
Yeah, there you go. And when I brought it back to her and explained to her where my concerns were, in Lemon Valley, Stead area, you got a city fire company, you have a county fire company, but it takes over 18 minutes to get to Lemon Valley. And then she was talking about separating them out so that they're spread better. But we've seen what they've done with what Washoe County's done with our volunteer fire department. We have a gorgeous volunteer fire department sitting right there in Lemon Valley that is used for other stuff except for fire. Right. So taking it and putting it all together and not having all I just don't know. I honestly don't know. I've seen what city has done since 2017, doing all my research on development, turning around. Yes, dispatch needs to be much better because no, it's Washoe County's, no, it's the city of Reno's. Oh, I don't know, Lemon Drive is split in half. That's got to stop.
Yeah, and just to follow up real quick, there's been 7 studies done in the 32 years that I've lived here in Washoe County so far as fire and EMS services. So I would definitely recommend the Blue Ribbon Report was done in 2019. That's something you guys could take a look at. I can give you all kinds of information. I've been following this as an entry-level firefighter back in 1993. And so there's no reason Washoe County can't provide better public safety to the citizens in Washoe County. and we've got to do a better job. And I hope whoever sits in that seat will make sure that that happens. And also one last thing, insurance. Homeowners are losing their insurance because of fire. And the last law that was just passed about fire insurance being separated from your homeowner's policy, look into that as well, because you guys know as well as I do, the majority of our taxes come from property values. And if we lose property values, if we had Palisades Fire here, what would happen to our market? What would happen to our real estate market? Would anybody live here? What would happen to our public safety? What would happen to our budgets? All that stuff is a ripple effect. So thank you for your time, and God bless you all for being part of the public process, because we need more people to step up and do the right thing. Thank you.
I want in order to,
We still have closing statements too.
in order for time,
Yeah, we need
it's
to.
1:30 and I know people need to either get back to work or go take a nap. But anyway,
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody
Yeah,
for
Yeah, I want to finish up real fast, closing statements, and Ray, you can close after that. Now, I do want to thank you. It's a really hard job, as you know. We didn't even talk about trash collection. So I've got a theory in the top 5 people who control a county or city, and they're one of them too. Yeah, the mafia. Don't say it too loud. So why don't we start, Rob, from yours going that direction, finish it, Tammy, how we can get a hold of you, campaign, and any final thoughts.
Yeah, so my website is robforwashoe.com. My number is 775-225-1596. Call me anytime. If it's after 7, I'm not going to answer, but I will call you back. I am here to talk with anybody about anything. I'm not hiding anything. You guys can look at my voting record. You can look at anything you want to look at about me. My past says who I am. You can always tell somebody by the way that they vote, by what they've done, where they're volunteering, and what they're doing. My heart really is into trying to help you guys. And when I say I'm not a politician, I'm not a politician. I'm just somebody that has seen a lot of things from my side, the seats that I sit in, and I feel like I can help you. So if you give me the chance to be your county commissioner, I will do just that. I promise. I will try to help you every way I can. And I'm for everybody, vets, the whole, whatever, the elderly, it doesn't matter, seniors, whatever. I'm here for you, okay? Thank you.
Kathleen.
Turn it on. Yes, my website is katheriney4nv.com. My phone number is 775-530-7173. That is my personal cell. You will always get a hold of me directly. Call or text. I'm good with both. Email is katheriney4nevada@gmail.com. I'm doing this I started this as a personal project after the code enforcement issue. That's what got me involved. And then realizing how many other things needed to be addressed. And what I want to do is continue the work I've started. All of these pieces are already moving, and none of that will stop regardless of whether or not I win this seat. I will continue the work that I've started, because the work that I'm doing here matters, and every voice matters, every community counts, and I want everyone represented at that table. District 5 deserves a strong voice and strong leadership who is willing to work with whoever, whenever, in order to get things done that will benefit this community. And that is my goal.
Tammy?
You can find me at tammyholtstill.com. My phone number is 775-762-8153. And I wanted this seat, or I am working for this seat, because of the fact that I felt that without being able to move as far as I'd like to have been in the last 8 years, even though I've gotten some stuff accomplished, there's more to do, and there's more people that need it. It's not just North Valleys, it's all of Washoe County. And seeing a lot of the errors and knowing that I can jump in and try and fix them. Like a sign says, actions speak louder than words. That's what I've done since I started in 2017, was take action, try to fix it, try to change it.
Thank you. One last thing. I think they did an excellent job. Give them a round of applause.
And thank you for showing up. You know, it drives me nuts when people won't debate, and everyone debated from fifth, and that's so important, what you guys are doing and showing up. And unfortunately, people get elected who won't show up or debate because of
I
special
know.
interest money. What it is, it's special interest money who comes in, and there's about 5 big groups, and you see them out there, and it's a tough job because of that.
Just a final reminder, the video will be up within, what, a few hours? It's up now. It's live streaming and a video. You can use it for your campaigns. The other thing is, we're dark in July, but August 5th will be the next meeting. With that, thank you for coming. Oh, first Friday is this Friday at Engine 8 Urban Winery. It's kind of a fun time. Invite all of you to come. How are you, kiddo?
Hey, how are you, honey?
Still alive.
Who's in charge of this meeting? You or Bill?
Huh?
Who's in charge of this meeting? You or Bill? Is he going to interrupt? Is Bill going to interrupt you one more time?